two other guys. You want to talk about the most disrespected recruit of all time? You got to have a conversation about Rueben Hurricane Bain, Mark. This guy's sack total makes a bunch of people have to keep refreshing 247 to see if it was a typo. Okay, God almost touched 100 sacks in 2.5 seasons. It's just like he did what now? 30 sacks, 29 sacks. He finds a way to get to the quarterback. He finds a way to get to the quarterback. Now, it's used against him that he's 6'2". It's used against him that he has a little bit of kind of a three technique body with, really big thighs and legs and built from the waist down, and not just slender 6'6", 215-pound, wiry wide receiver look, but he plays defensive end. And I think that's used against Rueben Bain. What's also used against Rueben Bain is the fact that he's from Miami, and the offensive linemen down there are not the best. But again, I've talked at nauseam about his matchup with Francis Marigoa. I've talked about his matchup when he went to the Under Armour All-America game, and he did very, 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 very well in those matchups. So I think Rueben Bain will not only do well as an edge rusher, him coming in as a three technique on some downs and getting after the guards and things of that nature will be great for him. But he is an edge. We're not going to disrespect him by that, but he is an edge rusher. Okay, top 100 player in the country. As you can see, number 16 in the state of Florida, number 10 edge rusher in the country. But if he happened to be 6'4", Mark, he would have been probably the number one player in the country with the statistics that he has. Looks like you were trying to hop in there. Go ahead.
Well, just that, I remember when he committed and was signed, and then before I pulled up the banner and put in the recruiting rankings, and you said he was disrespected, and then I threw up number 70 in the nation. He's still close to a 5-star.
Yeah, but again, Mark, I would say this. The only thing that stops him from being a 5-star is that he happened to be playing in Miami and that he's 6'2". If a young man, let's say, for example, if you didn't read that name, height, and location, and I told you this man had 60 sacks in 2 years, what would you say looking at defensive end edge rusher would be?
Well, I would want to know who he was playing against. That would be my first question.
That's a great rebuttal. Because, Mark, there's people in Massachusetts, there's people in the Dakotas, there's people in Wyoming that don't put up numbers like that. So what stopped him from being that? There's people who play NAIA ball, D3 ball, there's D1 bounce backs, there's JUCO guys that come from Ohio State down and don't, or Georgia down and don't put up numbers like that. What held him lower than everyone else was the fact that you look at him and he doesn't really look like an edge rusher. You look at his measurements and he's 6'2.5". And he also plays against Florida, more specifically South Florida offensive linemen. So again, we talked about this with Cam Kitchens. If he goes out there and plays a really good freshman year, has an All-American sophomore year, it won't matter what his ranking was. But I threw that in there because we were talking about the disrespect, and it just comes to mind what would happen, if he happened to be just 2 legit inches taller. I can only imagine what he would be as far as maybe number 1, number 2, number 3 player in the entire country, not just regardless of position. With 60 sacks as a junior and a senior. So, it is what it